Okay, so we're going to talk about the week, August 28th, 2023. Forgive me, a lot of weird things going on with my brain and the charts and whatnot. So there's the moon. What I am doing is I am marking where the planets will be and what they'll be doing in 7 days' time. So then that gives us an idea of the different signs that a planet will be in or what the planet's doing from now, between now and 7 days. There is the moon at the beginning of the week of August 28th. It's in Aquarius at 5 degrees. So the moon is your feelings, your family, emotions, emotional needs, emotional security, what you find emotionally satisfying. When it's in the sign of Aquarius, these are friends, groups, social causes, social concerns, humanitarian concerns, global stuff. Now, when you look at the sign of Aquarius, look at it closely. Some say that's the water bearer, and those are kind of like waves. I don't think so. I think those are like a visual of energy. I kind of see those as lightning bolts or electricity or alternative power of some sort. Yeah. So we're in that age, the age of Aquarius, right? Pluto is still in Capricorn, but once we hit 2025, it'll be permanently inside of the age of Aquarius. And so Aquarian energy is different. It's cutting edge. It says exciting and new. We have to remember that Saturn is the co-ruler of the sign of Aquarius. Saturn and Uranus, they co-rule sign of Aquarius. And we can't forget those ancient rulers, because lately when we look at the astrology, sometimes when you just pay attention to the one ruler, it's like, okay, maybe. Like, okay, I could kind of understand. Does this make sense for me and in my life and what's going on? But then when you apply the definition of the ancient ruler, it's like, holy shit, that's a home run. Like, that's spot on. Okay. So I'm sharing this because, well, we're talking about the moon for 2 days in the sign of Aquarius. And so for this week of the 28th, it'll travel through Aquarius and then it'll go into Pisces for 2.5 days. This is a full moon. This is the second full moon in August, a blue moon, a blue full moon, because it's the second full moon. So that's that saying, it happens once in a blue moon, right? So they're not super common, but here it is. We got a blue moon, and this would be on August 30th. That's the other piece of what happens the week of August 28th, 7 degrees in the sign of Pisces. And then it goes into Aries for 2.5 days. And then it ends up at the end of the 7 days, which will be next Monday. The moon's in Taurus. You see? So that was your moon cycle for the next 7 days. So Aquarius is groups, it's online, it's digital, it's advancements for humanity, it's inventions. So we think of, wow, electric everything, batteries, solar power, independent power. We think of then the moon moving into Pisces, and Pisces is a water sign. Feelings, emotion, understanding, empathy, music, movies, sound, religion, spirituality, meditation, Hollywood, actors, public figures, politicians. The moon will be there for 2.5 days. And then it moves into Aries. In Aries, it's about myself. All of a sudden, we become very assertive, maybe aggressive. We feel very fearless. We feel we might be perceived as being a little impatient. We might be considered kind of childlike. You might even catch yourself chuckling and laughing at things that you don't normally find funny, or because it's a bit of optimism, Aries energy. There's something beautiful about it. It's a bit optimistic and it's got that youthful feeling to it. It lights up the room, but at times we're like, okay, you're a little naive, right? With the Aries energy can be a little bit naive. While at the same time, it can go to the opposite end and be aggressive, right? Where it wants to be first or it wants to be leading. And so it will fight. And its ruler is Mars, right? Born for war. So we always got to keep that in mind. And then after it moves out of Aries, the 2.5 days, by Monday, which means, yes, we got Aries for the weekend, but by Monday, you've got it in the peace-loving, harmonious sign of Taurus. But look, there's a lot there, isn't there? It'll be, I don't have it written in, but I already did a chart for this and somehow lost it all. So I already have this memorized. The moon's at 18 degrees here. And it's just at this particular time. And what is that? This chart, there was no rhyme or reason as to the time of it. This is 5:48 p.m. on August 28th. And so we see that the sun is at 5 degrees. And during that time, the sun only moves 7 degrees because it moves 1 degree a day. That means the sun will be here at 12 degrees in Virgo. Okay. We know that, right? But we have a lot to kind of to talk about because then we have Venus. See how she's red, retrograding? But look at the degrees, 1257. We know Venus is slowing, moving very slow here because we know that the 12 degrees is where her retrograde began. The shadow zone began at 12. So for those of you who've watched the video, you saw Venus's cycle. She went to 28 degrees of Leo, and then she goes back to 12. She stands still, and then she goes forward again. So here we are, Venus at 12 degrees. We're getting close. She's still red and she's still at the high numbers. She's at 1257. So where will she be in 7 days' time? Roughly 12 degrees. That's how slow she is moving because she's about to go forward. And as a planet has to change direction, they have to slow down. And when they slow down, the meaning, Venus, my love, my value, my money, my desires get stronger. Just like when it's in retrograde, it's stronger. But it becomes even more intense when the planet starts to get to that crawl where it's barely moving because it has to stand still. So a week from here, Venus will still be at the 12 degrees, but next Monday, the numbers will be in black. Venus will be moving direct. Okay. So that tells us for these 7 days, she's going real slow. And so the meanings of Venus and what she values in the sign of Leo, someone who can be very colorful, who can be even maybe a little dramatic. We think of cat energy. We think of the stage and the screen and the performances, actors, politicians, people who have good vocals, who can sing. Performance energy is Leo. Really good performers. Sometimes performance energy can be sports too. Just depends. But a love for those things and finding those things entertaining. Have you found yourself possibly being more drawn to watching movies? And if not movies, maybe performances of whatever the hell kind that you're interested in. Entertainment is the key word here. Entertainment. What do you like to watch to be entertained? In Leo, it can be a lot of different things. It can look a lot of different ways. And some of those can involve physical human bodies because it's romance and procreation too. Now, let me get back to the moon, but we can't go too far from the moon because this is all fixed energy. The moon in Taurus, fixed energy. We have Jupiter at the same degree, so I'm not going to write the degrees in, but it's at the same degrees because I put an R there. Let me go red. I put an R there. And I put an R because Jupiter is going to begin its retrograde. So in 7 days, we got Jupiter's retrograde already occurring. Now that's going to get stronger as that time goes. So Jupiter slowing down because it's going to begin a retrograde, just like Venus. Venus will be slowing down to go direct. Jupiter slowing down, standing still at 15. You see that? 15 degrees? Yeah. So it's still going to be at 15 degrees 7 days from here. So the emphasis about Jupiter, what does Jupiter represent? Jupiter is known to exaggerate, to add to things, right? That's Jupiter. It expands upon something. It can make more of something. It can add to it. What is it going to add to? What is it going to expand upon? It's in Taurus. Money, banking, my values. What do I love? Who do I love? Desire. Taurus is fine arts, but it's the earth. It's food. Think of all things earth. And think of Jupiter expanding upon those values. So this would be things like, I don't know, commodities possibly, right? Natural resources of the earth, right? Things that are of the earth that we have value in. People, stock market and all that crap. And Jupiter expands upon something. So the meanings, and that could be simply conversations about the economy, conversations and hearing more about those things. The thing is, on this day in particular, the moon is here at 18 and Uranus is here at 23. And that doesn't change from 7 days' time. Uranus is still at 23 degrees because it is also slowing down. Slowing down because it's going to begin its retrograde. So 7 days from now, you got Uranus and Jupiter both retrograding together in Taurus. So there's an expansion on our values, earth issues, could be banking, conversations about the economy, your bank account, your money, your income, how you make money, possibly reconsidering something that you had already either made a decision on or the opportunity passed you by, because Jupiter's going to go back. And there's a video on the channel up already about Jupiter's journey. But to give you a quick shortcut on it here, a quick redo, Jupiter goes from 15 back to 5. And then once it hits 5, it goes back again to 15. And that's called retrograde zone. Okay. So it's going over the books again. It's going over the values. It's reevaluating. It's taking a deeper dive. And there might be some surprises involved because the planet Uranus is now retrograding. All things about the Earth, we've got Taurus energy involved and Uranus. And I said surprises because that's a keyword for Uranian energy, for Uranus. It's known to be upsetting. It's known to say, let's do something different. It's known to do things that we didn't expect it to do. That's Uranus. It can also be an authority figure. So we think of the United States, global money, decisions about global money. And we also think of United States in terms of the Fed and how they're controlling the interest rates. And that affects all the other markets. It has everything to do with oil, has everything to do with the dollar, has everything to do with gold, the interest rates. And then this connects us to the housing market. You see, it's all connected. And so there might be something surprising. The authority figure segment also, we can speak to that here because Uranus is also known as an authority figure. Remember before when I spoke about Aquarius energy, and I said, remember that when we talk about Aquarius, we have to remember Saturn. Saturn is a co-ruler of Aquarius with Uranus. So there's something about structure and rules, and we're working towards long-term success. Saturn wants to do the tried, the true, and the tested, where Uranus is like, but we need to disrupt something here. We need to stop with the tried, the true, and the tested, and we need to do something we haven't done in a while, or do something different. We need to, step out of the regular routine. So for those of you that are following the money markets, for those of you who are considered, you've got investments and stocks and whatnot, Uranian energy comes forward, and it's going to happen this week. Okay. So in this, over the 7-day time period, we're looking at that. And it's interesting because Venus at 12 squares the moon, squares Jupiter. It's all part of this. You see, Venus is standing still at 12. So the moon will literally square it just, 6 hours before. And that's not uncommon. But then Jupiter is more powerful, and Jupiter's at 15. You see, Venus is at 12. And Venus is slowing down and standing still, so she's more powerful as well. So there's something about values, because look, remember, who rules Taurus? I'm going to leave her with the blue head. That's Venus. Venus rules Taurus energy. So there's maybe some news or some information or something happening with the markets, with the money. Some may find it disruptive. Some may be like, yes, finally, there could be a halt in interest rate hikes. There can be a resuming of interest rate hikes. I don't follow it closely enough to have a comment about it. I just know that when you think of authority figures and money and banking, and in the United States specifically, the Fed, and the whole world kind of looks to that. The United States, kind of ruling the investments with tech. And what would tech be? Uranus. Something new and inventive. We think AI. That's Uranus. And for the tech companies, I just saw a quick, there's this one guy I listen to every now and then. He had the list of the top 10 tech companies in the world. All 10 of them were USA. So we kind of include that in this here as well. Now, as far as the rest of the chart, things are not moving very far. We have Mercury retrograding at 20 degrees. So I'm going to leave this in red. And by next week's time, in 7 days, Mercury is, I believe, at 15 degrees just behind the sun. So this is important because if you look right here in this chart, the sun and Mercury are 10 degrees apart. They're 15 degrees apart. Do you see that? You see how the sun is at 5 degrees on the 28th and Mercury is at 20 degrees on this day? So there's 15 degrees of separation, and that's actually good because our minds work better when Mercury is far away from the sun, especially when it's in front of the sun. It's like we know things sooner. We learn faster. But in 7 days' time, the sun and Mercury will be very close to each other. And that means Mercury and the way it thinks, the way it functions, your mind and learning will be tricky, will be very tricky. We have to wait for the distance for the sun to pull out ahead of Mercury and for there to be a minimum of 10 degrees between these two. So that's what's going to happen. Okay. Now that's not some abnormal thing, but keep that in mind. Okay. So our thinking and our mind, you might have issues with social media. You might have issues with your devices. God knows that happens to me all the time. And take a look here. We've got Mars. We've got Mars now. Here we are the week of the 28th. Mars on the 28th itself just entered the sign of Libra. Mars doesn't move very fast. So by 7 days' time, it'll be sitting here at 5 degrees in Libra. So it's still in Libran energy. And we will, in 7 days' time, have Sirius. If I can draw this in real quick here. Sirius will be conjunct the South Node. South Node is releasing. Sirius is how I feel nurtured. So there's partnerships. Sirius can represent food, then earth, but it can also represent any way that you nurture yourself, especially significant one-on-one relationships that you feel nurture you in some way. If they touch the South Node, what do you have at 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 degrees? Because Sirius will be there. There will be something you are releasing. It could just boil down to something with food where you're like, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. Sirius is known as the grain, most specifically grains. So there might be some difficulty. I know with some of the Ukraine stuff, there's been difficulties with food and the shipments and, all that. And we didn't talk about Aries so much or Virgo so much, but we still have Pallas Athena there. We still have Black Moon Lilith there. But by the end of this week, in 7 days' time, Black Moon Lilith will be in Leo. I don't have her drawn in here, but I believe she's sitting right here in Leo energy at like 19 degrees. Yeah, she enters Leo, moves pretty fast, and she'll be at 19 degrees in the sign of Leo. So Black Moon Lilith usually throws a little monkey wrench. And so she's been moving back and forth between Leo and Virgo. Okay. And so we have to be careful. Leo can have a lot of that strong ego energy and feel like, hey, I'm in charge, I'm the boss. Where Virgo can be kind of like, I see the flaws with all my careful eyes, seeing all the details. I can see what's not, I can see what needs to be improved upon. And so sometimes it can have a critical eye. So we all just have to be careful with our Black Moon Lilith energy in the Virgo energy and the bouncing back and forth between those two. So what it looks like to me is the biggest takeaway for this next 7-day period is things with our values and money and banking, and then our mind and our decisions and our choices and our options with Mercury, because it's going to get close to the sun. So that can represent a big challenge. The good news is that Mercury is on Earth, but Jupiter's here. Mercury and the sun will be trining Jupiter. So the fact that it's Mercury and the sun trining Jupiter and they're close together, this tells us that choices and decisions and options, because it's Mercury. Remember, Mercury is about, I got to make a choice. There's some sort of a decision I have to make, right? I have these options on the table and I'm trying to figure out what's the best thing for me to do. Mercury rules traveling, short distances, itineraries, making plans, calendars, but selling and learning and possibly going to school, consuming information, talking, sending information to others, saying, hey, this is my itinerary, or hey, this is the schedule, or hey, this is the news. This is what I just found out about. So Mercury comes in, and being close to the sun, her thinking ability may be a little funny here. Keep that in mind. This is the big thing to me for this week. But the benefit is that it's trining Jupiter. So there can be some massive exaggerations that go on, because that's what Jupiter does. It's standing still. Could be massive exaggerations. All right. There can be information that, even if it's not purposefully exaggerated, because it's in a retrograde, there likely will be another change of plan, because Mercury is not out of its retrograde. It has to go all the way back to 8 degrees, and then it has to move forward again. And once it hits right where Pallas is, you see how Pallas is at 22 degrees there? That's where Mercury ends her retrograde zone. Interesting. That's where she ends her retrograde zone. And that's when she clears all of that confusion. That's where she clears it all. And it's where we have more of the facts, where we have more of the information, so that we can make a better choice. So that's like the big story for the end of this month, to me, from where I'm looking at it here. The retrogrades of Jupiter and Uranus and Mercury. Second full moon in August. Anytime you have 2 full moons, we have what they call a blue moon, a blue full moon, because it's the second full moon. So that's that saying, it happens once in a blue moon, right? Or I should say August 30th, you've got a full moon occurring at roughly 7 degrees. Release, let goes, endings. That's full moon energy. I'll link that video for the full moon if you haven't seen it down below, so that you can check it out and to figure out how this will look for you in your life. You got questions? Comment below. I will help you out in any way that I can. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.